So, Hare Krishna devotees, welcome to Shloka a Day. Today's Shloka is Shloka number 35. So, Arjuna has made a couple of statements about this practice of trying to control the mind. So, Arjuna has said in Shloka 33 that whatever you're describing Krishna seems to be very impractical and unendurable because the mind is restless and unsteady. And Arjuna emphasizes that point and talks about the 4 problems of the mind. It's restless like a little child. It's turbulent, so turbulent that sometimes it goes mad. It's obstinate, refusing to listen to good counsel, and very strong, very committed to a particular thing. And Arjuna is saying it's probably easier to control the wind than it is to control the mind. You'll notice Lord Krishna's response to that. And Lord Krishna, first of all, acknowledges, to reassure Arjuna, Lord Krishna, first of all, acknowledges that the mind is indeed difficult to control, but that it is possible, it is feasible. Shloka 35. Shri Bhagavanuvacha asamshayam mahabaho mano durnigriham chalam abhyasena tu kaunteya vairagyena cha grihyate. Shri Bhagavanuvacha asamshayam mahabaho mano durnigriham chalam abhyasena tu kaunteya vairagyena cha grihyate. Shri Bhagavanuvacha asamshayam mahabaho mano durnigriham chalam abhyasena tu kaunteya vairagyena cha grihyate. Please recite after me. Shri Bhagavanuvacha
Shri Bhagavan Uvacha
asamshayam mahabaho
Asamshayam Mahabaho
mano durnigriham chalam
Mano Durnigraham Chalam
abhyasena tu kaunteya
Abhyasena tu Kaunteya
vairagyena cha grihyate.
Vairagyena cha Grihyate.
Shri Bhagavanuvacha
Shri Bhagavan Uvacha
asamshayam mahabaho
Asamshayam Mahabaho
mano durnigriham chalam
Mano Durnigraham
abhyasena tu kaunteya
Abhyasena tu Kaunteya
vairagyena cha grihyate.
Vairagyena cha Grihyate.
Shri Bhagavanuvacha
Shri Bhagavan Uvacha
asamshayam mahabaho
Asamshayam Mahabaho
mano durnigriham chalam
Mano Durnigraham Chalam
abhyasena tu kaunteya
Abhyasena tu Kaunteya
vairagyena cha grihyate.
Vairagyena cha Grihyate.
Word for word meaning and translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Shri Bhagavanuvacha.
Shri Bhagavan Uvacha
The personality of Godhead said,
The personality of Godhead said
Asamshayam,
Asamshayam
undoubtedly,
undoubtedly
Mahabaho,
Mahabaho
Almighty Armed One,
Almighty Armed One
Manaha,
Manaha
the mind,
the mind
Durnigraham,
Dunnigraham.
Difficult to curb.
Difficult to curb.
Chalam.
Chalam.
Flickering.
Flickering.
Abhyasena.
Abhyasena.
By practice.
By practice.
To. But. Kaunteya. O son of Kunti.
O son of Kunti.
Vairagyena.
Vairagyena.
By detachment.
By detachment.
Cha.
Cha.
Also. Grihyate.
Gruhyate.
Can be so controlled.
Can be so controlled.
Translation. Lord Krishna said,
Lord Krishna said,
O mighty armed son of Kunti,
O mighty armed son of Kunti,
it is undoubtedly very difficult
it is undoubtedly very difficult
to curb the restless mind,
to curb the restless mind,
but it is possible
but it is possible
by suitable practice
by suitable practice
and by detachment.
and by detachment.
So, first of all, the Lord is calling Arjuna Mahabaho, mighty armed, as if to remind Arjuna, you have defeated great warriors. Why not the might? So when we are sick, we have to take treatment. So if we have a fracture, then we have to get it taken care of. It has to heal, and then you have to learn how to exercise. So there are certain do's and don'ts that have to be followed. So similarly, by abhyasa, by practice, we have to keep pulling the mind from its various ruminations, remembering that only Krishna can give you strength. For example, if one has to learn how to type, initially your fingers are all over the keyboard. So it takes a little bit of practice before you can conquer typing. So any proficiency that you acquire is acquired through practice. So that's abhyasa. So Krishna is saying first thing is you have to focus on practicing to control the mind. Pull it back from where it's gone. Second is vairagya. Vairagya is simply following the regulative principles to develop detachment. So a whole lot of do's and don'ts are prescribed by acharyas. And by following those regulative principles, we will slowly develop detachment. So the mind can actually defeat us in a battle, but we alone can defeat ourselves in the war. So as Krishna says, mind is our best friend or the worst enemy. So Krishna is exhibiting his empathy here. He's acknowledging that it is indeed difficult, that the mind is difficult to worship. But it is possible to control the mind if you rest the mind on the Lord and you begin to experience his benevolence. Otherwise, what happens? Typically, the mind will always be complaining. Why not this? Why not that? So if we are surrounded by people who are always negative and always complain, we go out of our way to try and avoid them. So we have to do something similar here. So there are two things Krishna is asking us to do. One is to monitor the mind and to mentor the mind. First, monitor what is the mind doing? Where is it taking you? All kinds of thoughts. And then mentor it through practice. So monitoring the mind is vairagya. Mentoring the mind is through practice, abhyasa. So two things we must remember. We need to monitor the mind and we need to mentor the mind. So if we do these two things, which is vairagya, develop vairagya, so that you can detachedly examine your own mind, and in the different directions that it's taking you. And at the same time, through practice, overcome the problems that the mind typically presents you. So Krishna is saying it's possible, it's not impossible, but it requires commitment and it requires determination to overcome the mind. So you can curb the restless mind through suitable practice and detachment.